$1 billion plus in sales, a greatness extractor, Mr. Ibrahim, Hussein.
We spend over $200,000 a year on education and training and mentorship. Last year, we flew 26 team members all the way to Florida.
You're rocking stages. You have that energy about you, and you have the knowledge. Why real estate?
I look at it as you get what you put in. The single most important degree of separation between the top producers and the average. The top producers is they seek accountability. They actually go to it. The average, they go away from it. That right there is the formula for the best team in existence. If they were to apply that, literally will solve the problem that everybody's trying to chase, which is retention. The question that I always ask myself, do you really have a business, or are you at a business that has you?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Price to Sell podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Campoli. And today, as always, just bringing on the best of the best. I have an individual who has led his team to be the number one team at EXP Realty Canada for sales volume and gross commission income, $1 billion plus in sales, a greatness extractor, a true hustler, and someone you will see a lot more of in the years to come. Mr. Ibrahim Hussein is in the building with me. Thank you for coming.
Brother, thank you for having me. It's an honor. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, man.
Thank you.
We've seen a lot of each other.
Yep.
Been meaning to connect.
Yep.
What better way than a podcast?
Finally did it. Yes.
We finally did it.
Yes.
We finally did it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, crushing it. I got to applaud you.
Thank you.
Really big numbers.
Thank you.
Top of the charts always. You really show like really pure leadership, you know? You could see that through your socials. Lead a really big team. How many agents are you?
49 right now.
49?
Yeah.
And the Affinity team.
That's correct. Yeah.
And you're just consistently growing. It's admirable. So I just want to give you a pat on the back.
Appreciate that, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And if you want to give the audience a little bit of a brief background, you know, where you came from, your story, you know, love to dive into that.
So I moved to Canada 12 years ago.
Okay.
I came from Egypt.
Nice.
I have a law degree, so I came to do my master's degree in law with MBA in York University, Osgoode Hall. And they realized...
Did you like law?
I love it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I love it. So I realized it's going to be a step backwards, not forward for my career, because I have to restudy almost everything that I did. So I went to the business side of things. I did a bunch of like sales, which is what I'm good at. Back home, we have a importing and exporting business, my brother and I.
Nice.
Kind of like a family business.
Mm-hmm.
So it was an easy transition for me. But then in the back of my mind, I'm like, you know what? Whatever I'm going to be doing as a career, it has to worth what I had to let go of.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm not continuing my law career, something else has to worth it, if not better. So eventually that was real estate. So I got into real estate 7 years ago.
Why real estate?
It's you. There's no ceiling, and the. I look at it as you get what you put in.
Yeah.
Funny they're asking that question. Why real estate? I actually did the math.
Okay.
I'm a firm believer that math is the math.
Okay.
So if you're a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer, do the math based on like how many years of education you have to go through, / the tuitions. If you're a doctor, engineer, pilot, lawyer, you spend anywhere between like 4 years to 8 years of education, anywhere between $120,000 to $475,000 of tuitions.
Okay.
And then you graduate. After you graduate, you make an income anywhere between like high six figures all the way up based on like how good of a doctor or lawyer you'll be, right? With real estate, you, in that case, us as realtors, you get into about 6 months to education, about 7 to 10 grand tuition, and then you graduate. If you're really good in real estate, have what it takes, you're making more than the doctor engineer. But how many of us as realtors, they look at this as a profession? I'm a real estate doctor. I'm a real estate lawyer. I'm a real estate engineer. And then treat it as such. How good of a business opportunity that would be.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at it that way, and I'm like, that real estate, that was like, that what made sense. So I got into the business to build a business, not to just be a realtor. We'll talk about that more in details.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's how like most realtors, even in our team, we kind of like always give them the example of like, you have a lawyer, doctor, engineer, you. Here's how much they spend, time they go through, you.
Mm-hmm.
Are you capitalizing on the opportunity? Are you grateful for the business that you're in?
Yeah.
Because if you are, you should treat it as such.
For sure.
So just sometimes we need a frequent reminder of how good the business is.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good vehicle.
100%.
A lot of people just, it's hard because you're not, no one's holding you accountable unless you can get proper mentorship, but your day one as a realtor, you're just waking up and it's up to you. So you need that
100%.
belief.
100%. You know that, Matt, like the separation, the single most important degree of separation between the top producers and the average. The top producers is they seek accountability. They actually go to it. The average, they go away from it. So you don't wait for somebody to hold you accountable. You're going to seek accountability. So that's the difference between the two. And from a leadership standpoint, accountability is the highest form of love you can show a human being. So if you really truly care about your team members, you will hold them accountable. If you care about your people, the people that you lead, the people that trust you to run their business at the organization that you just happen to found, because they're not your agents, they're aligning themselves with your business in your organization, aka team. You should hold them accountable, which is what is leadership? Is I'm holding my other end of the bargain. You trusted me to hold you accountable to achieve certain level of success in your life. I'm just doing my part. If that pisses you off to hold you accountable, you're in the wrong place.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
So how was your first 7 years now?
7 years. Yeah.
How did it start for you?
I started on a team. I was lucky enough to be in one of the top teams in Keller Williams at that time.
Okay.
It was about 6 months in. After 6 months, we, in a friendly way, we just went several different directions. I went on my own for a year and a half after the fact, and then decided to build a team that I couldn't find. Not a figure of speech, not a cliche, but like literally, like if I were to join a team, what would that team has to look like? So I sat down with all the teams that I can possibly put my hands on the city, in the city at that time. Almost every single team are the same, just different names. So I always advise everybody that ask me like, hey, how do you attribute the speed of growth? If you better explain it that way, the speed of growth. I was like, if there is a team in your, would you want to join a team? I was like, oh no, not. I'm a big guy. Like I'm thinking of building my own team. I'm like, I understand. If there was a team in your city that you look at it and you're gonna be like, you know what, I'm gonna join that team. What would that team has to look like, Matt, for you to satisfy your fancy criteria of what team should look like? Just hypothetically speaking, write that down for me. Okay, what that team has to have, like, get like a blank pen and paper, draw a line in the middle, right-hand side of the line. Every single possible reason that the team should have or the stuff that the team has to have for you to be like, you know what, I'm going to join them. On the flip side of the line, every reason that if a team has any of this, you, Matt, will never join them. Write that down. Right there is the single most important like exercise a team leader, potential team leader can do.
Interesting.
Because that right there is the formula for the best team in existence according to your own plan. Right there, you don't need a mentor, you don't need anybody. This is what team should look like, because if that team exists, you will end up joining. So if you truly believe you're not smarter than the people who are potentially will be business partners with you, they would want everything that you have in your wish list. And they wouldn't want anything to do with the stuff that you don't want to have on the other side, right? Like you have a wish list and you have like a dislike list.
Yeah.
Just meet them in the future before they arrive. What future are we talking about? The future version of themselves. Like Matt is assuming when you were a brand new agent, got your license 10 o'clock. Same thing for me, same thing for everybody that's listening here. We don't know anything. We're so green.
Yeah.
5 years out from that day, we know more than what we know today. Make sense?
Yes.
So I think a fundamental way of building teams is how can you live in the future to welcome people when they arrive to the future version of themselves. Matt in 2029. What would Matt in 2029 would love to have on a team when he knows the ins and outs of the business? And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can we have that for Matt from now on? So when the 2029 comes in, Matt is going to back reflect on February 2024. You know what? The team did this and this and this is for me. Now that I know what I know, I will stay.
Yeah.
Or the opposite. Now that I know what I know, I look back and reflect on my journey with my ABC team company brokerage. You know what? That was not really a win-win.
I see.
Where is the door? Here, I'm out.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's a $10 million worth of a bottom line for a team
Yeah.
organization. If they were to apply that, literally will solve the problem that everybody's trying to chase, which is retention.
Yes.
That solves the retention right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are some things that you've, put into action for this? Like, what are some things you realized through those exercises that you now use?
Make sure that the business, this is personal. This is a personal exercise. Everybody has to do that for
This
their
is
own.
Ibrahim's.
That's correct. Yeah. Never for a second will make the business revolve around myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have to have a realistic expectation about the financial models.
Mm-hmm.
I have to have a career path for the people within the company. I will never hire number twos, because in the business, number two is more important than number one. For those that runs organizations, they have the CEOs, they run on an EOS system. Your integrator or CEO, whatever you want to call it, the number two person in the business is actually more important than number one.
Mm-hmm.
In actuality, on the ground.
Yeah.
So having the who, which is who you're gonna align yourself with in a leadership standpoint, that's more important. So we never hire number twos. I'm lucky enough, by the grace of God, that the leadership team, the people that run the Affinity real estate team with us, the founding members, they're just, God has given them IQ level that's higher than me.
Mm-hmm.
I just know that, and I'm not competing against them with that. They're just smart people, and I'm lucky enough to have them with us that we tag along. So so that's where kind of like, if we want to build a team like that, we're gonna have to have a flat level organization. The flat level organization, Matt, is basically every single person is as equal and important as the person that started the company. The newest person as the person as important as the person that started it. So it's a flat level. It's been serving us very, very well.
Yeah. Well, you can tell, man.
Thank you.
And who? So these key players.
Yes.
How is that broken down? Like, who are they?
Idris Beg, my first business partner ever to join the team.
And these are realtors?
They are realtor too. Yeah.
Okay.
They're licensed realtors. Yeah.
And what are the roles they take on?
So Idris is he serves as the chief communication officer.
Okay.
We call it that way.
Yeah.
He's the wise man.
Okay.
If you ever have want to make a public announcement or something, he's very eloquent.
Okay.
Like, he just very well spoken person.
Mm-hmm.
He's also the voice of reason. So Idris serves as the voice of reason. If we want to do anything, we run it by him. Whatever he thinks is most likely what we're going to agree with. And then we have Jahid, Connor, Idris, and Miranda. Miranda is our COO integrator. Big shout out for her. She's arguably one of the best CEOs in North America.
Okay.
So very grateful for the leadership team that we have in place.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes us, Matt, to there's something called the cliff, okay? The speed of growth of the organization is proportionate to the size of the cliff within the organization. The cliff is the gap or the difference between the number one person and then the number two or the leadership team, okay? So that cliff represents the emotional equity, the emotional intelligence, the emotional maturity, the business acumen, the situational awareness between that person and then the people within the company. So typically that cliff is like that. So the number one person or the leader of the company, their job is to bridge as much as they can by elevating the emotional equity, the emotional intelligence, the emotional maturity of the people to be like that. So the bigger the cliff, the slow is the growth of the conversation of the organization.
Yes.
So your job is to make sure that there is no cliff. So our job in the company was probably like we worked on that. Now it's like this. So they have a higher IQ level, higher emotional intelligence, emotional maturity than I do. That's why the company is growing so fast. So if you want to build a company, we'll build a team. Make sure the cliff is not there.
Yeah.
So as much as you can, wake up every day like I want to make sure there is no cliff.
Yeah, it's powerful because a lot of people will start a team, and then it's like, okay, I'm a team leader now, I'm just hire agents. But there's the whole business side where I just had Mark Ferris on the other day. Yeah. And he has 50 agents.
Yep.
And then 50 supporting staff.
Yep.
All in these roles. This is the way to do it.
100%. You treat it as a business.
Exactly.
We always say, like, look at the business side of the real estate business. It sounds like very simple, but no, actually, because we're a really good salespeople, and we found ourselves like get into the business world, and then wearing multiple hats. And what do we like? We're not really entrepreneurs. We're solopreneurs, but we think that we're entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
So the transition from solopreneurs to entrepreneurs, it will require you to look at the business from a business lenses. Like look at the business side of the real estate business, treat it as a business, not just I have a team. Like we were told, like, hey, if you're a top producing agent, you get to a certain level of production, just hire some bunch of agents, split with them 50-50, and now you have a team.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like an amazing business plan. Never work out.
No, I know. Yeah. Yeah. Been down that road a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool, man. And I want to jump into the brokerage, obviously.
Yes, please.
So EXP is where we're at.
EXP, yeah.
We are in 2024.
Yes.
You mentioned when you joined in February 2022.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a battle, right? Like anything.
Yeah.
And but now it's a very interesting time for this model as a whole.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. I think we are the future.
Mm-hmm.
Not because we're the revenue share model. Doesn't matter what the brokerage name is. We just happen to use EXP for the reasons that made us believe that EXP is the best way to go. But the revenue share model are the models that puts the agent first and treat them as business owners and share the revenue for the company, that the agent are the primary reason for generating that revenue to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
It fast forwards the track for anybody that aspiring team leader, somebody want to buy a brokerage, want to be like very connected, have networks everywhere. How can you build a brokerage without having overhead cost
Yes.
of launching brokerages in every city? So by the grace of God, me and I sitting here in Toronto, we have people in 6 different provinces in Canada and 5 states in the US in less than 2 years. I would not have been able to do that if not for EXP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the 407 and the 401.
Yeah.
Just we take the 407. It just it's the fastest track to success.
Yeah.
That's what EXP is.
Yeah, man. And I studied it for 2 years before I joined.
I did that for 2 years and 3 months.
Okay. And I did a similar thing with you too when you first started. I wasn't loud about it.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure for myself
100%.
that it is what it is, and it is true, and it is.
Because people trust you,
Yes.
and then they will move because you told them to move, and there is a degree of look. I believe that the stronger the relationship between you and then the real producers, like the big players, these people are unrecruitable. I'm one of them. You cannot recruit me. I cannot recruit you. We have to be compelling than convincing, and then they have to be attracted to a model that makes a business. They have to make an informed decision. You may play a big part of their decision-making process. So it's really on you, and I will not invite you to come over here unless I personally tested it, and I'm confident this is the right thing for me first, and then like, hey, Matt, this is for me. This is the right thing for me. It might not be the right thing for you. Might be, I don't know. But what am I not seeing? What am I missing here? And then I share everything with you, and typically the conversation makes a deep logical sense. They end up joining.
Yeah.
Yeah. They end up upgrading. I'll refer to it that way. They end up like jumping on the fast expressway to get to their final destination, which is whatever we need.
Yeah.
Whatever that destination of the agent, like how big you want to go. Like, I don't know. Like you want to sell a lot of real estate. Ultimately, that should be your number one goal is as a producing agent, it's called revenue share. So if there is no sales and no revenue, there is nothing to share.
Yeah.
So we actually have to sell real estate.
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of people. That's something to note for sure. And it creates a really supportive culture because you want your agents to sell real estate.
100%.
Because if they're not,
well, that's what you got in business for.
yeah,
You got a business to sell real estate.
yeah,
Now there is a very small degree percentage of the agents that will have beyond just selling real estate. I want to build a business. I want to build a network. Sure, these are typically what they become the broker owners, the regional managers, the regional owner for the franchise business. EXP just give that to you as no liability, no headache, no overhead cost, no everything. I say it's stupidly simple.
yeah,
It is so stupidly simple. Like you can't get it wrong.
yeah. And what has that done for you? How's that changed your career?
It did change my career in so many different ways because we're very connected across North America.
Yeah.
We have very close friends of ours in Alberta, in Ottawa, in Vancouver, down in the US. Now, I'll put it that way, Matt. Like there is 142,000 licensed agent in Canada. Okay, 142,000, the most recent stat. Every single one of those people, including us here, we cannot sell real estate if we don't have our license at a brokerage. Make sense?
Yeah.
For any broker owner, they would love to have all agents at their brokerage that they own. Technically, you just can't because like there is no ability. You have to exist in every single market center. So with that business model with EXP, it allows me to partner up with all my friends across all North America that we can be part of a brokerage that we own. Like I come from a different brand, you come from a different brand, he comes from a different brand, she comes from a different brand. We all work. The question that I always ask myself and I share with my close friends is, hey, do you really have a business? Or are you at a business that has you? Because if we are at the traditional model, we don't really have a business. We are at a business that has us in their business. What I mean by that is, would you agree that for the last, 10 years being an agent, you helped contribute to the success of the brokerage that you were at? Obviously you did. Through the number of homes that you sold, the agent that joined the brokerage because you're there, you're not recruiting, but just within the people business, people join brokerages based on who they know at that brokerage, and if they're happy or not, they end up joining. I look at that and then like, after 10 years, what did I actually build outside of my real estate sales? I'm as good as my last sale.
Yeah.
My sales stops, my income stops, but the brokerage that I helped build, I have nothing to do with that. It's owned by somebody else. So I don't really have a business. I'm at a business that has me. So all of our friends that think that way, you know what? Let's just own our own businesses and partner up in a brokerage that we all own, because it's a publicly traded company.
Yeah.
Somebody owns this piece, somebody owns that piece. It depends on like how much contribution you do towards the growth of the brokerage. It's probably the wisest and the most fruitful business decision that I have made.
Yeah.
Is to join EXP.
You've unpacked that really nicely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Really, really well put. I think it can be explained. It can be explained in a poor way.
Yeah.
But the way you put it was really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was good.
Thank you. Yeah. It's a blessing.
Yeah.
It's a blessing.
And I'd love to hop into a little bit of mindset, because
Please.
You're rocking stages. You're leading a pack. You know, obviously you have great leadership qualities. You have that energy about you, and you have the knowledge, like just the way you speak.
Thank
right? You weren't born like that. You probably had to put a lot of work in, right?
Absolutely not. Yes.
The first one I want to know is what is a greatness extractor? What does that mean?
Greatness extractor. I'm a firm believer that God has put us on this earth for a reason, to become the best version of ourselves that we can possibly be. That's the reason why we were created, in my opinion. So everything you do that to the extreme side of it, and like good is the number one enemy for great. So the moment you accept to be good, you will never be great. So everything you do is the greatness level. So the greatness extractor is everybody that will get in business with me or be in a close proximity of me, they will experience a higher level of discomfort of pushing them to be the best version of themselves that God has created them to be.
Okay. I like that a lot.
Thank you.
And in terms of mindset and your growth on a personal level, what are some things that have catered to your growth?
Definitely like being like always have the white belt mindset. The white belt mindset is if you go to first day in a club of karate or taekwondo, you wear a white belt. Have no idea what you're doing, and you're learning from your coach on how to move, like all of that stuff, all the way up to the black belt. So the white belt mindset is always operate out of curiosity, not judgment. Always create out of curiosity, not judgment. Like I'm curious to know what is it that Matt can say that I can learn from. Just pure curiosity and learn what not to do before you learn what to do. It doesn't take a genius to learn from their own mistakes. Like it's I'm expecting if you're learning from your own mistake, that's just the decent level of being smart, is to learn from your own mistakes. But a wise man will learn from other people's mistake, because if Matt did ABC from A to B, point A to point B in 5 years, you don't know what you don't know. I don't know what I don't know. But if I learn and I look at it from a third-party observer, what is it Matt doing that I shouldn't be doing? And if I avoid these things, I will get to point A to point B in probably 2.5 years, not 5 years, by avoiding the stuff that Matt didn't know. Because if he knew, he wouldn't have done them.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. So always learn what not to do before you learn what to do.
Yeah.
Put yourself in the right rooms. There is, and when you classify what the right rooms are, there is two different type of rooms. There is a room based on production, and there is room based on projection. So there is people like the come with substance, and then there is the, I'll just leave it at projection for now. You project a picture that's not really what the reality is.
Yeah.
Look, there is a lot of fake success in real estate,
For sure.
like a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we see stuff and I'm like, holy crap, man! Like
Yeah.
that is not what we thought at all.
For sure.
So when you unpack and go deeper, and like there is nothing there. So yeah, so track record, brother. Like track record. Go for the substance and the track record, and look at the production of the people that you will learn from.
Yeah.
That's where the more rooms you get into for those higher caliber, potentially you'll become one of them.
Yeah.
Potentially.
And you invest in yourself a lot?
We spend over $200,000 a year on education and training and mentorship.
For you and the team?
That's correct. Yeah. Well, for myself, and then I passed along to the team.
Beautiful.
For sure. Yeah.
Man, it's a
We have, like last year, we flew 26 team members all the way to Florida for a sales training. Like, there's not very many teams that do that. We invest heavily in our people. We invest in them because we respect the future version of themselves before they get there, right?
Yeah.
It's living in the future to welcome people when they arrive. They might not reciprocate that due to the lack of a life experience, business experience. But when they get to the future version of themselves and look back and reflect, you know what? Man, I appreciate what Matt did to me back in 2027. Like, let's say we're living in 2030 now. When that situation happened, Matt did this, Matt did that. You know, I really appreciate that. But now that I know, I appreciate that he did this back then. At that time, I didn't really understand. Like, I didn't really appreciate that he did it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Always live like one step ahead.
Yeah.
As much as you can. The problem with most corporates or most teams is when you realize you have a problem, it's too late. It's too late. What did you do to prevent the problem from happening before it even happened? It keeps you on your toes. It sounds easy to say, but it's a lot of freaking work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. Like, seeing around the corners is a skill that can be developed. Always look around the corner and see how can you improve things before it takes place.
What was one of your biggest failures, and how did you overcome it?
Biggest failures. Yeah. I did make a personal decision, and I know we operate the business based on the principles, not personalities. So you make a principle-based decision, not a personal-based decision. Even if Matt is very, very close to me, and there is a deep personal relationship, and we're making a business decision, is whatever Matt did, does that fit our principles or not? If it doesn't fit, we're not doing it, right? So that's how we operate. But back then, 2 years ago, I did make a decision based on personalities, because I just felt it was acquiring a smaller team, come and join us. It was purely based on, like, you know what, I want to help that person on a personal level. And that was the biggest failure I did, because I shouldn't have done that. I should have looked more into the business side of things and not just the personal, because I did it purely based on, like, a personal feeling that that's going to change this person's life. It did a lot of damage to us.
Okay.
But we recovered from it, so it's all good.
Yeah.
That was my biggest failure, is sometimes your big heart comes in the way. The moment your heart becomes bigger than your head, that's a problem. So you always have to check it, keep it in check. You know, like, yeah, it's good to have a bigger heart than bigger head, which is AKA your brain, like logical decisions. But sometimes just don't make it bigger.
Yeah.
Just like stick with it. We all have that weakness point sometimes, and yeah, that was a big lesson that I learned.
That is a big one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you had to pick, do you read?
I do read a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite book?
I read a lot and I listen even more.
The audiobooks, podcasts?
Yes, like audiobooks. Yeah.
Good. One book that really changed it for you.
The very first book changer for me is Good to Great.
Good to Great.
Good to Great.
Who's that by?
I think Jim Collins.
Okay.
Yes. Good to Great is the concept of like the moment you accept to be good, you will never be great, because always good is not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
That was there is another book called The Growth IQ.
Mm-hmm.
Growth IQ. It's where I learned the concept of like living in the future to welcome people when they arrive to the future version of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Growth IQ is another amazing book. And then The Who, Not How.
Yes. Dan Sullivan.
The Who, Not How is how we run the business now for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the last 3 years, this is how we run our business. Is The Who. So most people, I want to do something. Is like, how would I do it? Absolutely the wrong questions. Who do I know that by aligning with them, this can happen?
Yeah.
So this is The Who, not the how. Yeah, that's our third book. I learn a lot business stuff from the faith.
Yeah. Okay.
So whatever that might be, Bible, Quran, so whatever you want to believe in.
Well, you mentioned God a lot, so.
It's for me, it's business. Business in the sense of like, there is an MBA study in Oxford. It was basically reveals that your smile towards your employee's face increases the productivity at the workplace by 38%. So that was an MBA study. So I look at that, and then like 1,400 years ago, the prophet said, your smile towards people that you care about is a form of a charity. So if you want to give a charity, smile is a form of a charity. So it took us 1,400 years to make an MBA study to figure out that will increase your productivity. So stuff like that, this is where I'm like, you can call me old school, it's all good. But I always go back and I'm like, it's a faith-based, like, you know what? It's been serving us very well, brother.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
It's it lacks a lot nowadays too. So it's good to have that foundation.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I used to apologize when I mentioned the word God, and immediately after that I say, you know what, or universe, or superpower, or whatever you want to believe in, guys.
Yeah.
But then I stopped apologizing for it, because if it's okay if you don't believe in God, you just have to respect that I believe in God. So I don't have to apologize for something that I believe in. It was a little bit mental shift for me. I'm like, why am I apologizing for that?
It's true. That's you in your own head.
Yeah.
It's just like the society we're in. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, exactly.
And then my last question for you.
Yes, please.
If you could go back in time,
Yes.
look at little young Ibrahim,
Mm-hmm.
who's maybe has no idea what he wants to do.
Yeah.
One piece of advice you tell him.
Man, that's a good question. Quick execution, imitate before you innovate. Imitate before you innovate. If something has been done, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just quickly, we were sitting, me and you in the parking lot. One of us, two different type of personalities, will put the GPS before we leave the parking lot. And if I'm going to Ottawa right now, I will just jump on 401 quickly, and I will put the GPS later on when I'm leaving. But some people would not even leave the damn parking lot before they put the GPS in the address. Nothing wrong with that. I build the plane as we fly.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like, just on the spot.
Jump in the deep end before you can swim.
Quick execution, and then imitate before you innovate. Just follow the proven path. Yep, that's. I've done it. I would have done more of that. I would have done more of that.
Yeah. Love it, man.
Thank you, brother.
Well, that was great.
I appreciate you.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And for those who maybe the first time hearing about you, where can they find you?
Social media. Quick, easy to find me, either Instagram or Facebook, Ibrahim Hussein. And there's a bunch of videos on YouTube too, and our website, easy to connect with.
Affinity team.
Affinity Real Estate team as well. Yeah.
Okay, my man. Well, thank you so much.
Roger, I
You've been
appreciate
great.
you. Thank you for having me.
I look forward to our lunch.
Absolutely.
And to everyone out there, don't forget, if you guys enjoyed this one, share with a friend, like, subscribe, do all the things. We'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, guys.